So I just finished my second screenplay. The first one was based on my own book, which I adapted into a screenplay, and that didn't come out very well. The second one, I thought, came out much, much better, and it's my adaptation of a favorite book of mine. The book is called Independent People, and it was written by an Icelandic novelist called Halldór Laxness. He won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's deceased a long time ago. Just a wonderful book, beautifully written, very complex, sad, comical at times, heart-wrenching. It's a terrible, tragic, lovely, wonderful book. So what I did is I adapted it into a screenplay that I hope maintains the spirit of the book in a reduced format. So the book that I have, the translation that I have, is almost 500 pages, and a screenplay needs to be 120 pages. So in the process of creating the screenplay for Independent People, I had to be very selective about what to put in and what not to put in. I tried to use as my guide, will this particular scene or dialogue help move the story forward or not? And so I read the book several times, highlighted it, identified which scenes or dialogues or events made sense to be going into the movie. And then I started assembling them. And in the process, I had to change some things from the novel, minor changes in the chronology. And I had to take some liberties in terms of making the story more compact while not changing the end result. So, for example, when the main character goes off and is delayed coming back home to find his dead wife, instead of showing all the beautiful scenes that Laxness created of Bjartur, the main character, seeing a reindeer and trying to catch it and riding the reindeer and going into a river and nearly freezing to death, which was beautifully written, extraordinary visuals that you would get from it. But it took too much time. And so in the screenplay, what I did is Bjartur got caught up with a snowstorm and was delayed. And by the time he came back, the end result was the same. He still came back late and found his wife had already died. So I tried to make adjustments while respecting the story. Another thing that I left out, because I think that it was too complex to put in a screenplay, was Bjartur's almost incestuous encounter with his adoptive daughter. Because while it was very heavily charged in the book and it was very touching and very strong in the book, I felt that in terms of moving the movie forward, it wasn't necessary to include it. Because in the end, what mattered most to me as I wrote the screenplay was his daughter was the flower of his life. He loved her dearly. So that misunderstanding, that unfortunate event in the book, I thought didn't make sense to include in the movie. It would have driven off the storyline too far away from where it needed to be, in my opinion. But I would say most of the most significant events are included, and I think the screenplay does a good job of translating or communicating what the novel wants us to learn, and it is this sad, tragic love of a man who has adopted a child who was not his own as his own, but he's so proud that he ends up making decisions that hurt her and himself terribly. And the way that they re-encounter themselves and come to a resolution in Act 3, I thought that came out fairly well. The movie starts with Bjartur visiting his new farm. We pivot into Act 2 with a plot point, which is when Asta, his adoptive daughter, is born, and he decides to take her in to adopt her. So that's plot point that moves us from Act 1 to Act 2. And then the plot point that moves us from Act 2 to Act 3 is when Asta is pregnant. She was raped by someone that Bjartur sent to teach the children while he was away working. And he is so disillusioned, or he feels so betrayed by the fact that she's pregnant, that he kicks her out. And this brings her and himself incredible suffering. So the third act is the resolution of him embracing her again and being back with his beloved daughter. So the process of writing the the screenplay for this adapted novel, for this novel, was incredibly satisfying. It was very interesting. I really enjoyed the process. Again, I just did it because I love the book. I don't have the rights to the book. Somebody else has the rights, and they probably have a great screenplay to make a movie with. But just wanting to have a creative experience and adapting somebody else's novel rather than my own, I thought was important and was a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Have a good afternoon, and see you later. Bye.